welcome to the Science Faction Podcast, where science meets fact meets fiction.
This is Science Faction for the week of July 7th, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Dominguez, and with me today, two individuals who watched them lights explode in the sky.
I'm Benjamin Daniel Lawless.
Devin Kraft.
Did you guys do any firework looking?
No.
Excellent. Devin?
On Thursday night, so the day before the 4th, we went to a thing where we just parked our car and could see fireworks.
On the 3rd?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. They've got, like, the weekend before they had stuff. We didn't go to anything. We only went to the one thing. But, yeah, they just got a bunch of different things going on. That one happened to be on a Thursday night. I don't know, because maybe other places, so many places do it on the 4th. They wanted to do theirs on the 3rd to get more people to show up. I don't know.
Yeah, as we were driving to San Diego on the 3rd, there was somebody, like, there was a place, as we were driving, we saw some fireworks going off, and it seemed like a pretty big deal. It seemed like your typical 4th of July American Independence Day celebration.
Yeah,
but
no kings, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And but yeah, saw some. I think I was closer to fireworks on the 3rd than I was on the 4th. So,
All right,
yeah.
Cool.
But we weren't going there for, like, we were driving by and we were just like, oh, look at all those lights. That's nice.
There they are.
There they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you, Stephen? Did you see some fireworks?
I saw 0 fireworks.
Okay.
So my family took off to LA for several days. That's their what do you call it? Tradition, right?
Yes.
The wife and kids.
Tradition.
The wife and
Tradition.
kids, they go down to LA to see family, and they spend a couple days there, and they do, they watch, firework things and spend time with each other, and they had a great time this time. It was great because the kids are old enough now. There were no, like, weird issues there. They're, the aunties were like, oh man, the kids are getting along, and yeah. So, according to Martina, it was all great. So I got to stay home and do nothing. This is my 3 to 4 days of vacation I get a year. So,
Well,
so what I ended up doing was mini painting. I got deep into it because I could, and there was no one to stop me. And I sent you guys a couple pictures. I ended up painting up, like, I want to say like 8, 10, 12. Something. They're like maybe 12 minis or something. There was a lot. And they're all from the Star Wars Shatterpoint game, which is amazing. And it's one of those things where, like, I keep buying the minis as they are released, but I just don't have the time to paint them. Well, I found time now. So got a bunch of them painted up. I have like 3 full squads now to play with that are painted. And that was great. That was fun because I just would paint. My eyes would go blurry. I'd stop for a while, eat some food, watch some TV, go back, paint, and just repeat. But apparently locally here a little bit local, Templeton, which is about 10, 15 minutes north of us, there was a fireworks mishap and a building burned down. And it was so Templeton's weird because it's not really a city. It's like I don't know, incorporated township. Or it's some, like, other thing where, like, the county, there's no, like, city ordinances, but there's county ordinances, that kind of thing. So there's fireworks there, but there really shouldn't be because it's the same as everywhere else around here where it's like dry brush everywhere. And there's this big building that was this, like, it's big old building that's like what do you call it? Not an artifact. It's
Oh yeah, there's the mill. There's a mill in the middle of town.
it's like a feed and grain mill. Well, that's gone now. That burned down.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's just gone. So, that's a bummer, but historical. That's the word I was looking for. It was like a historical building, and not in use, but just like, hey, this has been here for like 100 years, that kind of deal. But now it's not.
How are you getting your news about fires, about wild?
So that one I got from my buddy Dave, who lives in Templeton. So
Okay.
that was
Gotcha.
first-hand account. That's how I got that info.
Yeah.
Well, I had on my news feed, I can't find it now, but it said something about 7 bodies found in explosion of fireworks factory. I didn't read the details, but that might be that one.
I mean, it wasn't a fireworks factory. So
Well, what was it? It was a
like a feed and grain mill from the like 1800s. Like
oh, why did I thought? I guess because you were talking about fireworks and then talked about something like okay,
yeah,
never mind.
Yeah,
I don't, yeah. Anyways,
I guess I'm asking this because recently I got turned on to an app called Watch Duty.
yeah, Martine's got the same thing. Yeah.
And so sure enough, whenever there's a fire nearby, it'll alert you. And I'm not sure if it's if it's overly like making me nervous about wildfires, or if it's giving me the appropriate amount of nervousness and anxiety about wildfires. But it is what I'm doing right now and kind of keeping track of it.
It's giving you too much anxiety because like there's fires all the time that are just put out,
Yeah.
And so that's just showing it's like the way I understood the way that app worked. It's like it's fed by all of the like firefighter, calls and all that stuff. Like, so like every little thing is going to be on there. So like maybe, I don't know, tweak your settings so you only get alerted when like the fires are a certain size or something. Otherwise you'll get alerted all the time. Perhaps.
Maybe. I don't know.
Have you guys been getting news on the floods in Texas?
I saw a little bit of
yeah.
that.
So
How you doing, dude?
are you? part
I'm
of that?
fine. I'm not anywhere near the like tragedy and destruction that occurred. So I'm fine, but
That's good.
I'm pretty sure I know it's big enough to be national news. I've actually had some coworkers text me and be like, "Are you near that?" I'm like, "No, I'm nowhere near that. Texas is huge, but I appreciate the concern, but no, I'm fine. But it's still a very sad story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad about that the jobs that used to help with that kind of stuff are now gone.
Yeah,
That's very unfortunate.
That's definitely an aspect of it for sure.
Like what's so sad, and it's like, come on, people. But no one's going, like, everyone's going to be like, yay, hooray, we're saving money. We don't need these jobs, blah, blah, blah. And then people are going to start dying. And they go, hey, wait a minute. How come all these people are dead? Well, because the other people that were employed to make sure that didn't happen are not there anymore. Oh, there's consequences to our actions? Yes. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of tragedy and death before things start to turn around. It sucks. Anyway.
Right.
So we played VR golf again, and that was great.
Steven, you and I, we and sorry, Devin, it was just kind of like a last minute thing.
Yeah, it was.
It's fine.
And it was late too.
So.
Yeah.
But a big shout out to Walkabout Minigolf, and Raptor Cliffs.
Raptor Cliff, man, that was a cool course. So Raptor Cliffs, and if you guys, if the constant listener will know that we've talked a ton about VR Walkabout Minigolf. It's a great game, and they keep putting out courses, which is wonderful. For like, I think I bought this one for like $3 or something. And these courses are cartoonish looking, but they're a lot of fun. And this one was set in, it's California, right? It's a PCH. Yeah, Pacific Coast Highway.
Pacific Coast Highway. Yeah.
You're right off the PCH, and it's these big redwoods, and it's like a mini golf course, but there's dinosaurs in there. Like real, not real, but like not fake mechanical dinosaurs. They're pretend real dinosaurs, which is kind of cool. So as you're going around the course, there's like a T-Rex standing and like doing stuff, or like a raptor that's chewing on an inner tube tire. And at one point you have to putt into a brachiosaur's mouth, and it's like moving around. Just fun. Just lots of fun.
Yeah.
It was a good course. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was funny because like I for some reason the notifications I usually have that let me know that there's new courses with Walkabout didn't ping, and so this has been out for a few weeks at least, maybe even a month.
And there's a new one that came out after this one.
Oh, really?
Called Crystal Lair. Yeah, and so
Ooh.
yeah,
All
it's
right.
part of the Lair series, which is like
good.
The evil
The
genius.
Yeah. Mad scientist ones. Yeah.
Exactly.
Those are cool.
So anyways, we played this. It was great, and that inspired me to go watch a dinosaur movie, which we're going to talk about movies later in this episode. Because we didn't have anything for book club this week. We have something set up for next week. But in that time slot of this podcast, we're going to talk about a bunch of movies. It's going to be awful. Great. It's going to be great. So
all right. Thanks. I don't know if you're overselling it or underselling it, Stephen, but
I'm selling it, baby.
We're just gonna be here, and if you don't want to hear it, I suppose listen to the next episode. I don't know. How do you know? How do you know if this is gonna be good? It's probably gonna be great.
It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be three white guys, middle-aged white guys, talking about seeing.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to listen to that? Most people, except our patrons. Thank you, patrons. So the last little bit I want to talk about very quickly, and whenever I say very quickly, I feel like I talk too much, but there's a new RPG out that's making waves called Daggerheart. If you're a Critical Role enjoyer, which is a YouTube series with people that play role-playing games, and it's typically Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, which there's been some pushback from that, from playing D&D because of some choices the company's making. That's fine. Anyways, they got together with some role play people and created a whole new system called Daggerheart.
Oh wow!
And so our buddy, my good buddy, our buddy Greg, started looking into it and was like, "Hey man, this system actually looks pretty cool." And he's an old school D&D player, right? And I found a PDF of the core rule books online, and so we're looking at it and we're like, "Yeah, we want to play this." And he ended up getting the game as a birthday gift, and I found it yesterday at Barnes and Noble, which was great because we were out there doing stuff with family, nephew stuff, going around, and I look on the Barnes and Noble app, and it said that they had a copy there. And so through the app, as we're sitting like waiting for Elio to start, we'll talk about that later. I was like, put a hold on this. And so after the movie, we went over to Barnes and Noble, and I went up to the people, and I was like, "Hey, I put a hold," and they're like, "Oh, yes." They're like, "Oh man, it took 3 of us to find it." I was like, "What?" Apparently, one of their other associates had put it aside for themselves. Because here's the deal. It's getting very, very popular, and this first printing of it is becoming very hard to find. And they're going to print more. It's going to be all over the place. But they had one, and someone put it aside. Well, they found it and put it aside for me, so I bought it too, and it's great. So, anyways, that's Daggerheart. It's going to be cool. It pulls. It's great because on the first couple pages, it talks about the things, the different systems or game mechanics within it, and what other systems they pulled them from. And so there's like, I'm not going to go through all of them. There's some cool stuff. It's not a D20 system. It's a 2D12 system where you roll 2D12s, and one of them is a hope die and one of them is a fear die. And you add the die together to get your number that you're trying to roll over a whatever to accomplish something. But if you gain it with, or if you add the numbers, but the one number that was bigger was a hope die, then you gain hope, which is like a resource to do special things with your character. If you rolled and with fear, then the GM gets a fear token and they can use that to like mess things up in the game. Essentially, it's a little more complicated than that, but that's like a really like interesting little thing with just you got these two dice, you're doing that. Oh, and if it's the same number, that's a critical. That's like a critical hit. So roll them doubles. Anyways, cool system. You'll be hearing more about it probably as I end up playing it or running it or whatever. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's move right along here to future or now.
No.
Who wants to go first?
Yo, Devin, you should go.
Devin, tell us what is happening in the universe.
All right. So I am using an article from Science Alert. It was published July 7th, 2025, which is today. Universe will start to shrink in just 7 billion years, claims study. So that is very different from what is I believe, kind of like the current scientific consensus on the future of our universe. It used to be that we would wonder whether or not the universe would continue to expand. We can confirm that it is expanding. Whether it would slow down and stay where it's at, like a steady state, or end in a big crunch where it would expand, slow down, and then the force of gravity, which is generally a force that brings things together, would bring all the matter in the universe back together into a big crunch. Then it was discovered in the 90s that the universe not only was expanding, but the rate of the expansion was accelerating.
Impossible.
Which is what led to the discovery of what we call dark energy. And this article actually has to do with dark energy. So since then, it's kind of been thought that, well, we know the universe is going to continue to expand, and unless something changes with dark energy, it'll expand and increase this expansion. And so it's hard to imagine, or without evidence of why that would happen, why that would change. So this article is actually based on a study where there's a model saying that dark energy is dynamic rather than static, so it doesn't stay the same, and that it is possible for dark energy to change its effect on the universe and then cause a retraction and then a crunch. And I haven't read the actual study. This article does say something that's a little vague, because it says that this model that predicts our universe will end in a big crunch in approximately 33.3 billion years. Then it says, since the universe is currently 13.8 billion years old, this gives us roughly 20 billion years before the curtain falls. So
Yeah, which
reading that together, it's either 33.3 billion years from now it'll crunch, or it's the entire lifespan of the universe is 33.3 billion years. And since we've already gone through 13.8 billion years, we only have 20 billion years left. I think the point is the latter. But again, I haven't read the original study, so I don't know. But it really doesn't matter, because when we talk about it doesn't matter to us because we won't be around. And when we talk about the lifetime of the universe, we talk about trillions and trillions of years. We talk about the heat death of the universe, which again, with the constant expansion of the universe, it's predicted that eventually pretty much all energy and matter will be uniform, and so it'll be just like this characterless nothingness, but it still has this fundamental energy that kind of permeates all space, but can't be used for anything because entropy is already taken over. Anyway, and that won't happen for trillions and trillions and trillions of years. But if we're talking about a universe that only has a lifespan of 33 billion years, or do the math differently, I guess 40 billion years, but that's a lot different. I mean, that means that we've already been through a significant portion of the life of the universe. Because whenever we talk about the life of the universe having all this history in front of it, all this that's going to happen and can happen, we're at the very, very beginning. 13.8 billion years compared to the trillions and trillions of years almost feels like we're special in the universe. Like we are the first to exist, possibly, as opposed to existing in a time when the universe has been around for trillions of years. But if the universe is only 33 billion years, or has a lifespan of only 33 billion years, we've already been through like more than a third of it. So it's interesting to think of it that way.
Yeah.
The other point, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, no, I like it's interesting too, like kind of thinking about what this portends for dark matter, that it is also governed by the laws of entropy. You know,
well, and we don't know a ton
static.
about dark matter. In fact, there was a story a few months ago that I wanted to cover, but I didn't understand it well enough to talk about it intelligently. Where
that doesn't stop it, Steven and I.
No,
that doesn't really. That doesn't stop me either usually, but
cis white male people. Whatever we say is true. That's the law of the land.
Untrue.
There was a story, and I saw it in multiple places, so it was kind of a big story of an alternate theory to dark matter, and called timescapes, where again, my understanding of it, which is deeply flawed, was that because of the function of relativity and the way time moves differently, you know, closer it is to matter, which is general relativity, that the way we're measuring the expansion of the universe is affected by the space that's near a galaxy and the space that's between galaxies, because time moves at a different rate in those two instances. And so it could affect our observations of the universe to make it look like it's expanding at an accelerated rate when it might not actually be. And thus, we almost don't need dark energy to explain our current understanding of the universe. If that's true, then it's like we've kind of gone off this incorrect path where we need dark energy. And so if we don't need dark energy, then it's not something we really need to discover or study. But it was a big story when it came out. I haven't seen any follow-up on it. I mean, those are the kind of things where it's going to take years and years of additional study, and maybe in 30 years there'll be a Nobel for, you know, an explanation of dark, or the expansion of the universe that doesn't require dark matter. But anyway, so this also shows that there's a ton of different ways of looking at this data, and we have no idea what's going to happen really in the future of the universe. But based on this model, the universe should reach its maximum expansion in 7 billion years. And then at that point, we'll contract and eventually be in a big crunch. What happens after that? Who knows? Maybe another Big Bang. The reason why this could happen is that dark energy, the mysterious force that makes up about 70% of the universe and drives its expansion, it's long been assumed that dark energy behaves like a cosmological constant, maintaining steady pressure that pushes space apart indefinitely. However, recent observations suggest dark energy might actually be a dynamic. The researchers propose a model involving an ultralight particle called an axion combined with what's known as a negative cosmological constant. And they have graphs showing how dark energy could have changed from today to the beginning of the universe, well, when the universe was 380,000 years old, and how dark energy now is 72% of all energy and matter in the universe, whereas before it was 63%. They say you can think of it like a rubber band. It's a pretty simplistic analogy. But the other important thing about this is that this model does make predictions on what data we should find when we do further research. And so hopefully there's going to be more study done in the future that could either confirm this model or disprove it. The researchers acknowledge their model has large margins of error due to limited observational data. The negative cosmological constant that drives their prediction remains highly speculative, and alternative scenarios, including eternal expansion, are still possible. And then it makes several predictions. There are several major astronomical projects launching in the coming years It could provide more precise measurements of dark energy's behavior, potentially confirming, refining, or ruling out the Big Crunch scenario entirely once and for all.
Wow.
So yeah, that's about all I got.
Neat.
Wow.
That's a lot of numbers and stuff. I understand all of it.
Well, just like, I mean, this is a big deal if this model, is how things are going to go. And so, yeah, pointing towards the potential of the universe. It's wild.
There's something about dark energy, dark matter that like doesn't sit well with me. Excuse me. In a way where it's like it feels like we don't know what this part of the equation is. We'll call it a fancy name. There's something that we're not quite grasping. And it feels like we've shoved dark energy, dark matter into that slot as like a placeholder until we really get it. And this seems like a step towards maybe more understanding of what's happening.
I think that's a lot more true for dark energy than dark matter. From what I've read about dark matter, there's multiple independent lines of evidence indicating there has to be something that behaves like dark matter in existence. So the fact that exists in some form seems more likely. What exactly that is, we're still not sure.
Yeah.
Because it can only be observed indirectly, because the whole point that it doesn't interact with light, which is why it's dark matter, but we can see its gravitational effects. Dark energy seems to be a lot like you're describing, where, I mean, we were shocked, as far as I understand it. Scientists who were studying it were shocked when they found out that the universe. Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, that like I said, they were expecting either the universe is expanding at a constant rate, or was slowing down, or was reaching like a steady state. They didn't even, like, the idea that it was going faster and faster wasn't even like part of their prediction. So when they found that, it's like, oh wow, this is not what we expected, and now we have to think of a way of explaining it. And that's where dark energy came from. Mm-hmm. And that's why we keep studying it, to try to figure out, what is this? I mean, is it true that we need something like dark energy to exist to explain our current model of the universe? Is our model wrong? Or what do we have to do to get a better understanding of the way the universe works? And so dark energy feels like it has more of that, like, we really don't know. We know something has to be there, so we'll call it dark energy. There's a chance we can explain it away and don't need it. But dark matter appears to be something that we really can't just change our model of physics and say, oh, we don't need dark matter, because there's just too much going on that requires something with the characteristics of what we've called dark matter to exist.
Got it. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to go next.
All right.
And talk about a thing. I'm calling this the yeast of our problems, because that's fun. And we have to have a little fun in our lives. This comes from Science Daily. It was published on June 28th. The title is "Scientists Turned Beer Yeast into Mini Factories for Smart Drugs." So this is like just a fun little science thing. A team of researchers has turned ordinary yeast into tiny, glowing drug factories, creating and testing billions of peptide-based compounds in a record time. This green tech breakthrough could fast-track safer, more precise medicines and reshape the future of pharma. So this is cool because it was a bunch of people got together. This is scientists at Ca' Foscari, University of Venice, in collaboration with researchers from Japan, China, Switzerland, and Italy, have developed an innovative method to produce and rapidly analyze a vast array of macrocyclic peptides, molecules increasingly used in modern medicine. Let's see. They harnessed the familiar brewer's yeast, turning billions of these tiny organisms into miniature fluorescent factories, each capable of creating a unique peptide with potential therapeutic applications. So this is cool. Let's see. Researchers engineered common brewer's yeast cells to individually produce different macrocyclic peptides. Each yeast cell acts like a tiny factory that lights up when producing the compound, allowing scientists to swiftly identify promising peptides. Using advanced fluorescence-based techniques, the team screened billions of these microfactories in just a few hours, a process that is significantly faster and more eco-friendly than existing methods. Now, this article doesn't go into like why they're fluorescent. Is that just a yeast thing? I don't know, but that's pretty cool.
Or I mean, like it becomes fluorescent when producing a specific compound.
Right, but I don't know where. Like, is that a yeast thing, or is that was that engineered? This article doesn't quite go into that, as far as I can tell. Let's see. So, quote from Sarah Lenciano, lead author and postdoctoral researcher at Kafkaskari Department of Molecular Sciences and Nanosystem, explains, quote, "We manipulated yeast cells so that each one functions as a microfactory that becomes fluorescent when producing a specific compound." So yeah, maybe it says right there, we manipulated yeast cells to become fluorescent. So there it is. This allowed us to analyze 100 million different peptides rapidly and effectively. So what are these peptides doing? The team also clarified how these peptides precisely bind to their targets. Well, that's not exactly, but okay. Using X-ray crystallography, we demonstrated the excellent binding properties of these peptides, confirming their precision and potency. I don't think, because this article isn't like super. Does it have a link to the real thing, the resource? It does.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. But like, what is a peptide? Why is that a medical thing? So peptides are short chains of amino acids linked by peptide bonds. A polypeptide is a longer, continuous, unbranched peptide chain. Polypeptides that have a molecular mass of 10,000 Da or more are called proteins. Chains of fewer than 20 amino acids are called oligopeptides and include dipeptides, tripeptides, and tetrapeptides. Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, you get enough peptides together, you got proteins. That's cool. So yeah, this is cool because what it really sounds like is that we need to generate these peptides in order to use them for drugs, medicines, that sort of thing. And they're engineering this yeast to say, hey, yeast, make a bunch of these peptides. And then they do, but it seems like it's not random, but like, all right, which ones are creating what? You know, like it can't be that focused. It's more like a big the way that this article reads, it's like they're making these big batches and then they have to kind of sift through them and figure out which peptides have been made. But that's fine because they're doing it so rapidly that it's like a shotgun blast of medicine. You know, it's just like, here's a whole bunch of it. Now let's figure out how we need to sort it. Instead of like taking 10 times as long to create one specific one, it's more of this like larger approach. Let's see. One last bit here. We are pushing the boundaries. Who's Alessandro Angelini, associate professor and study coordinator, emphasizes, quote, "We are pushing the boundaries of this technology to create macrocyclic peptides that can deliver advanced therapies directly to specific cells, potentially revolutionizing treatments. This could greatly benefit patient health and have substantial scientific and economic impacts." Really cool. And they also call it like green, kind of, because they're not the way that the peptides are being made is just with this yeast stuff, not more complicated, difficult, slow, environmentally unfriendly ways, which is what this says this is better than. Which I don't know what those ways are, but hey, if this is better, then better's better.
Well, there earlier on, it definitely mentions like a green pharma approach, which has to do with exploiting the natural machinery of yeast, they produce the peptide molecules that are biocompatible and biodegradable, so that they're safer.
There you go. Yeah, I do remember that. So yeah, cool. If this sounds interesting, check out the article. The link is going to be in the show notes as always. So yeah, pretty neat. Ben,
Right on.
Future or now.
if you've been listening to the show for a little bit, you might know that I've been interested in a little bit of sleep biohacking lately, and specifically about naps. And so when Ars Technica had an article called "Figuring Out Why a Nap Might Help People See Things in New Ways," this I was like, yeah, I want to know more.
Would you like to know more?
Yeah. Now, mind you, the article goes through a couple different studies that had what seemed to be contradictory results, even though they were trying to do the same, like similar studies. And so really what it comes down to, everything being said, regardless of the studies, what they ended up finding is that so let's start over. It's long been theorized by several smart people throughout history. Thomas Edison had this technique where he held a cup or something while he was napping in his chair. And so if he fell asleep too deeply, the cup falling from his hand would wake him up. And what he was hoping to do was use a dream state in order to trigger a eureka moment in whatever problem he's working.
Okay.
And so the idea here was let's try to recreate Edison's approach to insights, test it in experiments, and let's see whether or not there's anything scientific in this. Now, a lot of the things that they had considered at the beginning was that these eureka moments were tied to particular phases of sleep. Which dreaming is is a particular phase of sleep, and there are a bunch. There's like 4 phases of sleep that I've been reading about. But what they found here is that some studies seem to have this work with them. Other studies did not. But what they did find was EEGs, electroencephalograms.
Yes.
Which is a test that measures electrical activity in the brain, usually used for diagnosing brain conditions such as epilepsy or brain tumors, stroke, or sleep disorders. Now, what they did was they hooked part of the studies, they gave different problems to the different studies were like, oh, here's a problem to this group, and we're going to measure the EEG stuff that's going on in the brain in the moments leading up to when they awake, and see how well they do with these tasks.
Okay.
And whether also trying to determine, is a cup the best one? Is it like spoons, a stress ball, And in one study, it turned out that a cup was the best choice. That it got more of the eureka moments than not. And essentially, the eureka moments came from the idea that you're given a problem to solve, and there is a shortcut that you could work out as well, or you could just do the problem. So you're presented the problem, and you were more likely to deduce shortcut to solve the problem if you had entered into a sleep state and had particular EEG readings from the sleep state, regardless of what phase of sleep you were in. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
So yeah. What's that?
Interesting.
Yeah. So the basic idea here is that really more is needed. More studies are needed, because since it's not tied to different discrete stages of sleep, but it is tied to particular spectral slopes in the EEGs. So the steeper the slope was a really good indicator of when people were to get a breakthrough, and whether or not they hit a particular stage of sleep. So as usual in biology, things in reality are not as discrete as just sticking to a sleep, one or two of these sleep states. There's a lot more continuity. There's this gray zone. And so the intention kind of coming into the future is running a study that's been years in the making, using both EEGs and functional magnetic resonance imaging, that's fMRIs, at the same time to see what happens in the brain when people are sleeping. So hopefully they can learn how combining these two methods of observing the human brain will hopefully unlock how sleep is going to boost memory consolidation specifically. So
have either of you guys ever been in a sleep study?
No. But I've been my mother-in-law has encouraged me to get into one. Well, that's okay. Kind of. I had when I just got my I got a new dentist, and they were concerned that what's been going on in my mouth with my dentistry may be setting me up for sleep apnea.
Okay.
And so they gave me a little ring to wear that collected certain data from me, blood oxygen levels, and throughout the night, my sleep cycles. And we did that. I did that for one night. But I didn't
we talked about that recently. Didn't that happen not that long ago, right?
Yeah, it was pretty recent. So yeah, which
I'm curious, like the only reference I have for sleep studies is stuff that I see in TVs and movies, maybe where it's like a bunch of wires stuck to your face or your head, and I'm always like, how do you fall asleep? Like, doesn't that skew the results of you like, here we've stuck all this crap on your face, now go to sleep normally? Like, I don't know, it just seems weird.
Yeah, same with falling asleep within an MRI machine.
Exactly. Like, okay, good night, don't move. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's that is interesting. I think that I really appreciate, again, hate my Apple Watch for being a watch, but the fact that it does give me some data where I can track, I did fall into an REM state at this point, and that I'm actually able to like pinpoint what REM phases I have with which dreams I had through my dream journaling that I've been doing.
Right.
And
that's cool,
that's been fascinating. Yeah. Like last night I had 3 very, very vivid dreams. And in one of them, the 3 of us were on a video call. Which was kind of wild.
That is wild.
Yeah, Devin, I had moved into an apartment that you used to live in. And so I was showing
one.
It actually was not one of the ones that I knew that you had lived in, but but I had I was just kind of walking around with the camera just going like, and we changed this, and you're like, that's very interesting. Thanks, Brain.
Thanks for Brain.
Anyhow, definitely more on this as it develops. I'm really kind of curious about is there an ability to hack our dream states in order to make our daily waking lives a little richer? I don't know. But take a nap if you can.
More of this as it develops.
Yep.
All right, guys, we are going to take ourselves a little break. When we come back, we're not doing book club. No. We're doing movie talk because we've all seen a bunch of movies and we need to talk about it. But we will also be talking about book club for next week. So stay tuned for that. And we'll be right back. Hey, you. Yeah, you sitting there listening to this for free, like some kind of podcast freeloader. Look, I'm not saying you owe us, but if you enjoy our deep dives into AI, space, and comic book mayhem, maybe toss a coin to your podcasters. Join our Patreon, get into our Discord, grab some exclusive content, and finally achieve that deep, satisfying sense of superiority over your non-Patreon listeners. Just imagine their sad, uninformed little faces. Patreon.com/Science Faction Podcast, because knowledge is power, and power is best hoarded behind a paywall. And we're back.
Heyo. And a big thank you to our patrons, Renee and Josh. Thanks. You keep the lights on. I mean, as much as the lights can be on when we're in fire season in California. So thank you.
I mean, if they're keeping the lights on, but electricity's not, that means they're starting the fires. And we can tell Billy Joel.
Yeah, we solved it.
We solved it.
Here you go, Billy Joel. Billy Joe. Billy Joel.
Joel,
not Billy Joe.
not Joe. That's different.
Different band name. You have different bands. Still awesome.
Still awesome.
So what are we doing next week, y'all?
It's right there, man. The Last Question by Isaac Asimov. I went looking for some short stories. This one popped up as being a good one. Found it both as on a website and a nice YouTube reading of it, which is good quality, about nice. 20 to 30 minutes in length. So yeah.
And he and Isaac Asimov says right at the beginning, this is by far my favorite story of all those I have written.
Well, there you go.
So
cool. Best of the best. We will read that for next week. However, this week, let's start off by reading Renee's Patreon comment.
Hey, Renee, thank you.
Thank you for commenting. We appreciate it. My kids liked Elio. It just kept reminding me of Flight of the Navigator. Not exactly, and I haven't seen it in a long time, but enough that I was like, this kind of reminds me of something. Also, in the beginning, Elio stumbles into a museum place, and there's a speaker talking about Voyager and whatnot. I turned to my husband, and I was like, wait, is that Kate Mulgrew? And he said, I have no idea who that is. Sigh.
Your husband's got to watch Star Trek Prodigy. Stat.
Being married to a non-nerd. But yeah, they had Captain Janeway's voices section about NASA Voyager program.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Renee. We're going to talk about some of these things. I didn't notice Kate Mulgrew's voice. Did you guys?
I didn't know.
I always notice Kate Mulgrew's voice. However, I haven't seen the film.
Boo.
No, I missed it. I think I noticed it was familiar, but I didn't quite place it. I also I don't remember trying very hard, so
yeah, no, I gotcha. What I distinctly remember about Elio was all the Carl Sagan quotes by Carl Sagan, cool. And that was pretty darn cool.
Right on.
And I know,
like Piece by Piece, the Pharrell documentary.
Yeah,
Carl Sagan quotes. Yeah,
exactly.
Way to go, Carl Sagan.
Yeah,
way to go.
Way to go.
And everyone else for putting him into a film.
Yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, we went and saw Elio, my kids and my little nephew. We went and saw it in San Luis, which is cool. And everyone really enjoyed it, which was cool. It was kind of not the first sci-fi movie that they've seen, certainly, but it was like people first contact, new aliens kind of movie, right? Like that's a whole kind of trope on its own of like first contact kind of stuff. And I know you get a little bit excited every time I say first contact, Ben, but I'm not talking about Star Trek in this instance. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're talking about the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, First Contact.
Certainly not. No. The show, you got Elio, you got this little kid. He's like, my parents are dead. And I want aliens to come get me. And he's obsessed with it. And then one day, guess what? The aliens come and get him. And it's kind of a fun little romp of like, a first contact tropes, right? Like, oh, we We need to replace you somehow so no one thinks you're missing. We need to have some kind of voice thing so that we can all understand each other. Oh, let's show you all the crazy alien things you've never seen before. Awesome. We're what do they call it? The not galactic community. What was the word, Devon?
Oh, I don't remember.
It was like
it's like two words put together. It's
galactimunity,
friendiverse or something. I don't know.
It had something to do with the word community. Anyways, so there was like this this group of these aliens that they're all sharing their information and everything's cool and look awesome. We're aliens. We're getting along. And then the bad guy aliens come and they're like, we want to join. And they're like, no, don't be mean about it. And they're like, we're going to take you over. And then Elio's like, oh, well, as the representative leader of Earth, I'm going to go talk to him. And that kind of kicks off the real thrust of the story. And, all of the little bits and pieces made sense. There was nothing that I saw that was inconsistent about the movie, which was nice. Because sci-fi, sometimes there's a bit too much hand waving. This one didn't do that, really, felt like. So yeah, this is a good sci-fi introduction movie to kids. There's nothing. My 7. She just turned 7. My 7-year-old. If things are spooky, she gets spooked, and there was only one point in the movie where she was like, but that point quickly passed, and so that was fine. And was
that the introduction of the worm creature guy, or
no? It was later on in the movie. I think when they were like attacking, there was something that happened that she was a little unsure of. It's always she gets spooked out, not like, oh, that's scary looking, but when the implications of something are scary, that's when she really gets it. Like, oh, if they win, people are going to be killed, and it's that thought. And like us watching a kid's movie, we know that's not going to happen. And of course it doesn't. But for a kid that doesn't know, it's like, oh no, this is like, they're all going to get murdered. And then like a few seconds later, it's like, oh no, that's not going to happen. And she was fine. So anyways, Elio, I give that, that's a good 3 out of 4 stars for me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So Renee's comment about Flight of the Navigator, what's your thoughts on it?
It's been a long time since I've seen Flight of the Navigator as well. That was, if I remember, that's like kid and spaceship. Was the spaceship alive or was there just an alien?
Yes.
There was a robot. There's a time travel aspect to it also. Yeah. We watched it maybe, it seems like it wasn't that long ago, but it's probably like 5 years ago now.
Yeah, when I rewatched as an adult, I was
Yeah, we didn't watch it with our kids. Maybe it was before we had kids. Maybe it was longer than I thought. But we were watching it just because we're like, yeah, I remember that movie. And just to see what it's like now. And first of all, him in the ship is only like half the movie. It takes a long time to get going.
Yeah.
It's a weird movie. But there's not really any. Well, there's the little alien creatures in the ship, like pets, but there's no like aliens he interacts with other than the robot, which is the ship.
Right. I think that like to what you were saying earlier, the story is more about the fact that it's been 12 years since he had been this kid had been abducted or rather saved. And so he's still a child, but he's showing up to his family, and the rest of his family has grown up. 12 years have gone by, and they're like, what are you doing here as a kid? Like, we thought you had died. And so that was something I had not remembered.
I have like an image in my head of them like panning across his bedroom, and it's like the parents hadn't. No, that didn't happen.
Panning wasn't invented yet.
What?
I'm just
out of nowhere. Devon decided to mess with me. Like, what are you? Well done, sir. You got me. Anyways, all right. You guys both saw the live action How to Train Your Dragon. How was that, guys?
I really liked it. You know,
It was funny
I
because Ben, you made a joke at the beginning when I said I'd seen it too. You're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Devin," like as
yeah.
if you didn't like it and you're like,
No,
"Yeah, it
I
was just purely a joke."
it was purely a joke. I
Oh,
actually very much enjoyed it. I think that it was a competently done action movie. You know, um, it was. I guess that like I was looking, you know, because I watched all the end credits as one does. You know, when they care about movies. You know,
Sure.
when they like the art, the craft of movies, they watch all the end credits, and it turned out that the writer and director of it was one of the co-writers and directors of the original.
Okay.
hmm.
That
You know,
that's probably why it looked a whole lot the same.
yeah, yeah. But I think that you know that there I think that there were certain things in it that helped to establish character motivations for certain characters than what I had picked up in the film before too.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So I thought it was really good. I haven't seen a better adaptation of an animated film into live action than this.
Wow. Fair enough. Devin,
I guess the
rebuttal?
only other ones I'm like trying to compare it to something. I guess Disney does it a ton of the time. Yeah, if you liked the original movie, then there's no reason you wouldn't like this because it's basically it really is the same thing. Some of the scenes are extended. The beginning whole battle with the dinosaurs with the dragons is a lot more extended. The last battle is a lot more extended. The other characters, the other like dragon fighter kids, I would say get a little more development.
Mhm.
Still not a ton. But yeah, I really would have liked to see it having not seen the original, which is impossible. But because I really liked the original, it was a very well made movie, a very tight story,
Mm-hmm.
like very clever, and it didn't feel like there was any excess. And I don't feel like there was really any in this. So I mean, I enjoyed this movie. I got excited towards the end during the climax, just like you're supposed to. But I was just thinking, like, if this was the first time I had seen this story, I think I would think this was like one of the, I don't know, a really, really good movie. Like I felt with the first one,
Yeah.
but it's just so hard to judge it on its own. But it was really well made, and like I said, if you like the first one and you're not sick of it, then watch this and enjoy it just as much.
I mean,
Yeah.
is that
And
the highest praise we can give in the era of reboots and reimaginings and sequels? Just as good as the first time it happened. Like
I mean,
that's the highest praise, right? Like,
Yeah.
possibly, yeah. I mean, like again, yeah. How unless they're trying to do something tremendously different. But again, this was competently made. It was. I think that because the filmmakers had a template for how animation works with action,
mm-hmm.
that they didn't like. I didn't fall asleep on these action scenes. Maybe
Oh,
it's because I had had a full night's sleep before. I don't know, but
naps.
you
It's
know,
naps. It's because of naps.
maybe. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like when I'm traveling, because I saw it down in San Diego. And when I'm traveling, like generally that's an excuse to get less sleep
Oh,
than
true.
you know. So yeah, like it had all of my personal life going against it in terms of whether the movie would win against sleep. But sure enough,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't have to drink the entire cherry Coke that I got, which the at the theater the mixture was off, so it just tasted way weird, and I did not get through the rest of it because
Come here.
no, thanks, too sweet. So yeah, maybe this is just a review of the mixture, the cherry Coke mixture. Terrible, but let me in.
Um, Did you see any other movies? Did we have other movies on the list?
Yes. Yeah.
What
Guys.
else? Independence
So
Day.
Independence Day. Yeah. Yesterday, I showed Independence Day to my son, and
Wow.
yeah, Welcome
What do
to
you think of
Earth. He really liked it, and that film really holds up. I did skip past the strip club sequence.
Oh, okay.
I'll
I mean,
tell you
wasn't
that.
makes sense, but how long? That's not a long sequence, right?
It's not a long sequence, but I was like, oh, they're about to show what this character does for a living. Like, and I was like, oh, I see this. All right, we're just gonna skip about 45 seconds from now, and you know,
Mhm. Makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, right. Just for a 12-year-old,
Yeah.
it's all right. You know, they don't show anything. It's like, it's all right. But yeah, when's the last time you guys saw it?
Independence Day
Yeah,
in the theater, July 4th,
What?
1997 or whatever it was.
yes,
Really?
yes.
No, I don't. I've probably rewatched it since then, but I mean, I saw it in the theater. I remember that.
Wow.
Um,
I mean, I know I saw it too, but yeah, it's not one that I've come back to a lot. But it was nice having my son recognize Brent Spiner as Data, as
Yeah.
the main, you know, as one of the the mad scientist. Yeah, at Area 51.
I know. I watched that movie a lot as a kid. Like,
I can tell you exactly why. There's jet planes in it.
well, yeah, and aliens and
Well, yeah, that too, but it was the jet planes. 96 is when it came out. 96.
They have
yeah,
a lot of.
I mean, that one's kind of like alongside Jurassic Park, like just one that you just watch over and over because it's a classic, solid sci-fi action movie. Anyway,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm disgusted by you when you say you haven't seen it a million times.
Oh, wow.
Next thing you're going to say you haven't seen Top Gun, which I'm wearing a shirt of right now.
Yeah,
Oh,
never
dang.
watched that movie. Never plan to
I know.
at this point.
Wow. Really?
Now I mean, I've seen enough pieces of it over
Now it's
the
a
years.
badge of honor.
Yeah, now it's a badge of honor. Now I can't watch it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You poor thing.
I'm fine.
Steven.
No, I think I'm fine. I think I'm okay.
You think you're fine. You have no idea. You could not. You don't have enough experience to understand how not fine you are.
I'll tell you how not fine I am. I watched half of the new Jurassic World Rebirth movie. That's how not fine I am. So this is kind of
which half? Did you walk out?
No, it was the second half that I saw.
Oh,
This is weird. A weird thing that happened. So, this was when the family was off down in LA, and I was like, oh, I got free time. There's two movies I wanted to watch. I wanted to watch 28 Years Later, and I wanted to watch Jurassic World Rebirth, mostly because I'm a big Jurassic Park fan, and I was like, well, might as well try to see it if I'm not doing anything else. I made the wrong choice, you guys. I should have watched the other one. But I go to the theater, like I'm running late. I get to the theater like right when it's starting. It was like I think it was like an 11 o'clock showing, and I had missed the like 10 o'clock showing, right? Because I was gonna go at 10, and then I woke up late, and I was like, I'll go at 11 instead. Was that
In the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, why not? So I went. It was like, it was like 11:05 or something when I got to the theater, and I was like, that's fine. The trailers will be running still. So I went and bought my ticket, got some Milk Duds and a soda, and I walked into the theater, and there was dinosaurs and people already, and I was like, whoa, okay, I guess. And then in my brain, I was like, oh, well, sometimes these movies start with like a little action scene, like maybe the trailers, there were less trailers than I thought, and this is like the beginning, and it's like a little action scene right when it first starts. Like, that makes sense. So I go in, I sit down, and the action scene keeps going, and then it ends, and I was like waiting for like the credits to like the title sequence to start or something, but it doesn't. It just swaps over to a different action sequence with other characters, and I thought, oh no. Oh, did they sell me the ticket to the 10 o'clock and it's already halfway over? And at that point, I was already halfway done with my Milk Duds. And I was like, well, that's fine. This is fine. This will be a funny story. And it turns out that the movie was so bad that I didn't need to know what happened in the first half of the movie to understand the second half. Because right away I was like, oh, that guy's going to die. And about 10 minutes later, he died. And this other guy, oh, he's the bad guy. And sure enough, by the end of the movie, he was the bad guy. And of course, none of the kids are going to die. None of the kids died. Like, it was so by the numbers, it was boring.
Mm-hmm.
Even when like dinosaurs came out, it was like, because of the way that this movie was shot, or the way that these characters are acting, like, I get it. Like, these ones aren't in danger. Those ones are in danger. You know, this one's going to die. That one's not going to die. Like, I knew it all as it was happening. And even when, like, I guess, like, the big deal was like, oh, there's some big mutant dinosaurs. Like, when that one showed up, I was like, okay, whatever. Like, it wasn't, there was no fear there. There was no, like, what's going to happen. There was no, like, even the, like, exciting bits. Like, the action was even kind of poorly done, where they would, like, skip stuff. It was like, oh, they're here. Oh no! Oh look, there's a grating. Maybe they'll escape. And next thing you know, they're on the other side of the grating. They didn't even show it. Like, stuff like that, where you're like, oh, come on. I think the biggest tell for me, like, the only thing I was excited for this movie, like excited to see, is that they were redoing a scene from the original book, which was the raft scene, the T-Rex in the raft scene. If you've read the original book, it's this great scene where Alan and the two kids, they figure out that this river goes all the way to the visitor center. And so they get a raft, they get on it, and they're going to take the river all the way down to the visitor center. That's how they're going to get back. But there's a really tense moment, because when they get to the dock that has this raft, the T-Rex is nearby asleep. So it's this tense scene. It had just fed. And Grant was like, it just fed, it's sleeping, it's not going to want to feed anymore. So we're probably going to be safe, but let's be quiet anyway. They get the raft going. They get in the raft. The T-Rex wakes up, gets in the water. There's this whole thing where it's like it's swimming really well. It'd be like an alligator, and that's like, wow. And then they end up getting away. It's a fun scene in the book. So from the trailers, they're like, oh, they're doing that in this movie. And so I watched that. And in watching it, I was like, the thing that happened right away that made me go, oh, okay, this isn't going to be worth my time, is the older of the young girls pulls the raft out right next to the T-Rex, and it's like scraping along the dock. And I was like, okay, well, it should have woken up, but it didn't for some reason. Okay, whatever. She pops it open. The thing like inflates super fast, and it inflates so that you can't see the T-Rex. And then immediately falls over, and the T-Rex is gone. There was no time for that T-Rex to get up and move in that short amount of time. I was like, oh, they just don't care. All right. Then I don't care either.
Wow.
And that's why I was like, I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to argue about the ticket. I'm not going to see this movie again in a theater. I'll wait till it's streaming to watch the first half. And even then, maybe I won't. And then as the T-Rex is like moving through this stream, the depth doesn't make any sense. The speed that it's moving doesn't make any sense. It was all just hacked together into a silly action sequence. Very disappointing. So that was Jurassic World Rebirth. 0 stars. That movie shouldn't have been made. There's no reason for it. There was nothing redeeming in that movie whatsoever.
What you explained is exactly what it looked like from the trailers. And I don't know why, but I thought after doing so many Jurassic Park movies, and after the sequel trilogy being whatever it was, I thought, well, if they're going to do another one, they're going to find some creative talent to just do something new and different, right?
Nope.
No, they're just going to do the same thing.
No, it's just nonsense. Like, I didn't see the first half, so I don't know the exact setup, but what I gathered from the second half was that, oh, we've realized that these dinosaurs, there's something in the dinosaurs where we can reverse engineer it and make a cure to something. And so the mission the Scarlett Johansson's team is on, and she's some ex-military whatever, is to go to an island, I don't know which one it was, and extract from eggs, one from the water, one from the land, and one from the sky. Like, it was very much like we need to hit these 3 points and then get out. And I missed the first two. Apparently that was at the beginning, but then the sky one was like the pteranodon thing, and we saw that, and you saw that in the trailers. It was a bunch of boring action sequences linked together. It didn't even need Jurassic World branding on it. It could have just been like, people go to island with dinosaurs to try to steal DNA. Some make it out alive. The kids will be fine. Like, that's what the movie was. Yeah. No, as far as I could tell, like, the other bit was like, oh, the dinosaurs that have been let loose around the world from the previous movies are like dying off for some reason, and that's was like the only mention of it apparently. I don't know. Not worth anyone's time. Very disappointing. All right, let's wrap this thing up. What's the last? There's one last thing here, Ben. I think you put this on here.
Yeah. So a hat tip to kotk.org. Basically, there was a link to an NPR article about how an original Technicolor print of Star Wars, before all of Lucas's tinkering, was recently shown in Britain, and by the British Film Institute, the BFI. And
I heard about this. I didn't know it was an official showing by someone. I thought some person just like.
So yeah, and it's interesting because it's like, was this just some person? No, actually, Kathleen Kennedy was invited to the screening and gave a little talk before. So it's about as official as it could get, and it's fascinating because, I mean, like, okay, you all know that since Star Wars came out, George Lucas was like, you know, hey, I'm gonna change something. In fact, one of the things that he had said was that there was like a quote in the NPR article that was basically like, hey, I'm sorry, you know, it's like this. So after he had made all the changes in 2004, he told the Associated Press, it's like, this is the movie I wanted it to be, and I'm sorry you saw a half completed film and fell in love with it, but I want it to be the way I want it to be.
Sure.
And yet many people, you know, like the making of art depends on how it's received, and a lot of people grew up watching this version of the film, and maybe they want to see what it originally was like circa 1977. The fact that the British Film Institute is doing it like on their own is interesting, because the print that they shown was done very differently than in the US. So like most Star Wars prints in the US and elsewhere used Eastman color film, which color fades over time, giving it a brownish or a pinkish tint. But most of the British prints use Technicolor film, which retains its original colors.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah. So really cool that this was, of course, Han shot first. And, you know, there is, yeah.
Without a doubt.
But
it's very clear.
Right there. Exactly. But if you're curious about like seeing a, like what that would have been like, and you can't get to Britain, and they showed it twice and then they put it back into the vault. If you want to experience it for yourselves, according to a post in the comments of this article, you can check out Harmy's Despecialized Edition, which aimed to kind of clean up a lot of stuff and then kind of basically remove all the stuff that the special edition added and try to get as close to the original, but also like changing a few things for I guess, just changing a little bit. Or there's this one called Project 4K77, which that's interesting because it is essentially a version of it that is meant to look as close to the original, like with really very no changes, but just like as jittery, as potentially terrible as it was. Yeah, and it was from a single, like the 97% of the project 4K77 is from a single original 1977 35 millimeter Technicolor release print, scanned at full 4K, cleaned at 4K, rendered at 4K, and that's it.
That's cool. Like, I want to see that.
Yeah.
Just
they
as
actually,
a historical point of view of like, what was it like in 1977? Why not?
yeah, and they actually recommend that if you're going to watch it and you want kind of an authentic experience, because of some of the ways that, not necessarily uprising it, but the cleaning process, and there's a few different versions. Like maybe you want the digital cleaning, maybe you don't, so you can kind of choose what you want. But they recommend watching it projected.
Makes sense.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So but like what's interesting too is that like in this particular, in 4K77, the release print was preserved. So if it goes from blurry to sharp or grainy to not grainy, bright to dark in like the same scene, that's because it also did it in 1977. Their color correction that they did was a single correction per reel, not across the entire film. So
that's right, different reels.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the basic idea is, hey, like this is preserving the errors that modern filmmaking would try their best to scrub.
Right. And there's, this is history. Like at this point, this is film history. And why not preserve it from what it was? Maybe it's not the best version, but it's like the historical version. And I'm down with that. Let's go. Let's see it in all its cruddy beautifulness.
So, hey, either watch Flight of the Navigator or Project 4K77. I don't know. Like, you do you, my friends.
Do it. All right, guys.
All right.
I'm going to call it there because we're just over an hour. This is a perfect length for a podcast, and we need to go. So, Devon, do you have any final thoughts for us?
I do not know.
Okay, Ben, any last words?
It's common knowledge that 3 out of 4 people make up 75% of the population.
Good night, everybody.
This has been the Science Faction Podcast. Tweet to the host at SciFactPodcast. Email them at sciencefactionpodcast@gmail.com and visit sciencefactionpodcast.com for more episodes.